and we're literally going to the simulation room and going to be discussing, like seeing the simulated patient die, and then having like a group therapy session about it. That's what I'm being told is going to happen. Growing up as a child, like my family, we didn't really go to funerals, and when we did, we didn't view the body. So it was a shocker that I wanted to go into medicine, because clearly the circle of life means that some people are going to live, and at the end we all have got to die. So interesting point of view that my parents took on that, which is why anatomy lab was a little bit challenging for me, because I had never really looked at people when they were no longer living, no longer having breath flowing through their lungs. So I'm going to, give you an update once I leave out. But I will say that I'm very happy that my school is doing this, because I think I'm going to benefit from it. Like, quite frankly, the weather's a little weird. It's sunny, no clouds. But see, I still got a coat on because it's a little chilly. But yeah, keep you posted. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I have a few minutes before I go into my next session, which is PPE. And then after that is the fit test. But we did a group talk with a social worker. They had a comfort dog that came, a Labradoodle. And then we had to write a reflection about the experience. And then we did a group talk with 3 physicians. I'm going to get into this more once I leave, but just want to prime y'all for what's coming next.
All right, so yesterday I was so tired when I got home. I studied and then, I finished the rest, so I couldn't really get into this. But the breakdown of the first death experience was they split us into groups, and we went into the patient simulation room, and there was a young patient, like my age, basically, and they were coming in with a concern, but even though we knew that this was a first death experience, in the moment you just didn't really know that this was going to happen. And there was also a family member in the room, so one of my peers had to take on the role of consoling the family member, or even just explaining to them what was happening. And we went through life-saving measures in order to try to save our patient, and then ultimately they died. It's interesting because we all knew that we were coming into the first death experience, but actually going through the motions and having a nurse say, okay, we need to call the time of death, I was just like, wait, this could potentially happen during my clerkships. My entire time of being interested, like in more recent years of being a surgeon, is always, I don't want to work with sick people. And the reason why I don't want to work with sick people is because sick people die. Well, we're all going to die at some point. And I didn't really stop to think about how that would truly impact me. Like, I don't want to do something, like ICU, because I know that those patients are critically ill and death could be imminent. And I did know that it would impact me, but I never took the time to think that this could still happen on clinical rotations, or it could still happen in whatever field of medicine that I choose. Like, you can't run from the circle of life. And the part that hit home the most was when the nurse said, oh, the patient was so young and they came here frequently. They were always in good spirits. And I looked at the wristband and it had the same year that I was born. And I was just like, young people die too? I know that might sound silly. Like, you turn on the news, you hear so much going on in the world. But in my mind, it is a lot more acceptable when it's an older person who has passed than a younger person, because at least they have lived. They've seen things, they've done some things. And for younger people, I'm just like, you had so much more of the world to experience, so much more of life, to go through. And yeah, it was a very interesting experience. I still don't think anything can truly prepare you for like losing your first patient. And I'm certain that patient is someone that I'll likely always remember, because you have a tendency, or I have a tendency, to remember my first. Afterwards, we went back to the room and we sat in a circle talking to a social worker for her to explain, like the different steps of grief, and like it's okay to feel your feelings. It's okay to reach out to someone. It's okay to care for yourself. And there was a comfort dog as well named Dr. Watson. That was kind of cute, but I'm afraid of dogs. So when the dog came towards me, I started scooting my chair back, and I almost fell out the dang on chair trying to get away from the dog. And I think it was a Labradoodle. Those are typically calm. Actually, no, doodles be kind of like extra, but that one was super calm. And they were like, the dog specializes in emotional support, So that was nice. And then we had to do a 10-minute reflection on how we felt about the scenario. What's something that you've learned? What's a way you could care for yourself? Like, honestly, anything that you want to talk about in that moment, you could. And then the last part of the session was talking in a circle again. And there were 3 doctors, 2 anesthesiologists, and a laryngologist. And they were just kind of talking about their experiences and wanting us to speak on how we felt as rising third years about to go into clerkship and potentially about to experience this, and knowing that we are not the experts. So it is okay, if you need to step away. It's okay if you need to lean on someone else. But honestly, just vocalize what you need in that moment, because no one knows what you need. No one knows what the family member needs, because one of my classmates was saying that they didn't know if they should pat the family member on the back or comfort them. And one of the doctors was just like, they might not even know what they need, but it's okay to ask people, like give them the agency to tell you what they need in that moment, or to tell you what they don't know that they need in that moment, but don't take that away from them. So all in all, it was a very kind of eye-opening experience, because it's something that I personally have avoided for quite some time. As I told y'all, like my family growing up, I didn't really go to funerals. When I did, we didn't really view the body. So anatomy lab was hard for me because I wasn't like used to seeing a donor. But it's me being more real about the profession that I have chosen, and just to like do my best, and my best might look different every day. So that was the first death experience, and today we're going to do a procedural skills lab today and tomorrow. So if I can, I'll try to record some of the things we're doing. I think like putting in an IV line, doing the arterial blood gas, I think a catheter insertion. There are so many things. I looked at that list, I was like, oh, this is so cool. Like literally, you think medical school, you think doctor, like at least me, that's the things that I think of. So I try to input that into here as well. But yeah, kind of heavy stuff, but I guess this part is what I signed up for real. And I kind of knew it. So yeah, time to confront it, right? All right, time to get to cap and stuff so I'm not late for class.
I see her. Meanwhile, Simone probably the only serious person in the group. Patient. All right. Just gonna do this one. This goes this way. Here. Get the lines. Zoom in on the lines. All right, they lived. Yay! The dream team. I see it. It's crazy. Okay, you're gonna feel a little pinch there. I'm gonna lift your head up now. Okay, great. We're in there perfectly.
Why is your arm resting on the patient?
Girl, because I can't. You don't fall.
If you don't take the tube, it's gonna fall out.
It sure is gonna fall out. Okay. Y'all saw all the videos of all of the procedural workshops I did today. I don't have much more to say because I'm exhausted. We finished like so early, extremely early, and they did not let us out. And I'm just so tired. But besides that, it was nice to do all these things, you know, like phlebotomy. I did that as a clinical research coordinator. The next one was the ECG leads. That was actually pretty cool. And then one of my classmates got on the table and they did his read. And like, it was funny because it seemed like no one in my group was going into cardiology because everybody was like, oh, what does the ECG say? And everybody was like, I don't know. What does it say? I'm like, y'all, it's normal. Granted, I'm not good at cardio either, but I was like, I know what normal looks like. The next one was about the lungs and different breathing apparatus to use. And then the last one was an NG tube, nasogastric tube. I think that's the name of it. Please forgive me if I'm wrong. I'll post it on the screen if I am. And yeah, it's kind of crazy that as a medical student, I'll have the responsibility to do any of these things. I'm like, wow, y'all really have a lot of faith in us. But this is Wednesday, only 2 more days of transition to clerkship, just 2 more days of transition to clerkship at my school. Yeah, okay, let me take my nap before I got a tutor. See y'all tomorrow. All right, good morning, y'all. So yesterday, I think when I gave you the breakdown of what I was going to be doing, that's not what I did. So today, I believe is the IV, catheters, interrupted stitching, or uninterrupted, I can't remember, but suturing today, and maybe one other thing. So I have to be on campus at 8 a.m. I'm literally about to walk to the train right now, so I can get there probably like 5 to 10 minutes early. This session is from 8 to 12, have a 1 hour break for lunch. And then we go in for a 2-hour class. I think it's maybe anti-racism curriculum. Not too sure, but yeah, this is probably the last day that I'm really going to film. We'll see. But another day of scrubs. Today I chose the red ones, or reddish color, that my old roommate bought me for my birthday last year. Y'all, my apartment is a mess, but look at all these plants I got. They're so cute. All right, let me get to campus once again so I won't be late. Stay tuned though, stay tuned. Not they thought we were unserious. Okay, brief mid-morning check-in. The first 2 sessions so far have been OR, scrubbing, and gowning, and sutures. Shout out to me for being part of the Student Surgical Society because I've already done that. So, real familiar. We'll see what's coming up next. Stay tuned.
right.
Honestly, I might.
Okay. Oh.
Whew. Bloody patient. Okay, y'all. Hey, so I came back from school and today we did the 4 different procedural workshops. It was arterial blood gas, and that's when you're putting a needle into the artery to measure the oxygen and carbon dioxide levels, of which something I had to look up because we've been doing these workshops and they don't even tell us what is what. So I'm just kind of like, what is this for? That was very difficult. I actually was not able to hit the artery on the model because it was a little further than it should be. So typically the artery should be like right there on the inside by the, what's that? Ooh, where am I? I think, no, okay. So it should be by the ulnar nerve. Let me put this camera down. All right, so it should be around here. So this is the radial artery is on this side, the ulnar nerve is on that side. So you would like clamp off on both sides, right? So one hand will be here, hand be here, holding on the patient while they're up, and then you'll bring the arm down. And then you wanna see here pink up on the patient, and that will give you a positive test. I forget what they say it was positive what, I forget. Arnold, was it a positive Arnold test? I didn't get any paperwork, so I can't, I'm sorry. But anyway, so if it pinks up there, then you can actually do it because it means that it's a good ulnar artery. And then the other things we did was the scrub training, which is what I had briefly mentioned earlier when I stepped in the restroom to give y'all like a mini midday update. And it was like gowning and scrubbing, and so happy for being part of the student surgical seminar because I've done that, been there, done that already, got scrub trained first year, did the student surgical seminar this year, that 6-week program. I'll link that video above. And like, so that was really fun. It took the whole 55 minutes. And then we did sutures, which I've also done. And it was like the lame, uninterrupted suture and then like closing off the knot. I'm like, okay, great. And I still have my suture kit from SSS. And so I'm going to be practicing that before I start surgery so I can have like all the different stitches together because I hear that medical students typically get to close up on the skin level. And then the last one we did was IV lines. That was so cool. So I got to put in the IV on the hand. So, you know, finding a vein, my veins are actually pretty easy, but you always put a tourniquet on. And then IV in the arm. So I always say that my veins are super easy. I'm not sure if you can see that, but I have a nice, good vein right there. So if I'm ever getting a blood draw and someone like cannot hit the vein, I'm just like, what are you doing? Because my veins are so prominent. And then after that, we had a language bias class. And at first I'm like, oh my gosh, why do we keep doing all these classes? But it was pretty eye-opening. So it was a 50-minute lecture and then an hour small group where we went through 2 cases and going through a note that either it was a medical student, resident, or an attending had written up. And we pointed out the bias in the language of like some things that were said were patient is a frequent flyer of the ED, or they have complex childhood trauma, or even saying that someone's obese is like, the physician that was guiding our discussion today discussed how you want to say weight and access. Because it's like the language, the way that we're framing things, the verbiage of it all can determine the response that we get from the patient, especially because patients now can read their own charts. So all in all, today it was long. I came home, I took a nap before I got tutored, and I thought I set the alarm. I did not set the alarm. That was also something. But today was great. I will record some for tomorrow because we do our clinicians like oath. And I think that's kind of cool. I've been seeing that at like some white coat ceremonies before and whatever. So like that'll be the culminating event to wrap up year 2. My tutor told me that I can't say that I'm an M3 because technically I have completed all of the M2 coursework. But I don't know, I'm still kind of grappling with whether I want to actually call myself a 3rd year until I pass, like take and pass step 1 or not. But we're going to talk about that in another video because, you know, I got lots of thoughts and ideas on that. But yeah, so this is Thursday. It was a pretty, long day for sure. But I learned a lot and that's always fun, right? Catch y'all tomorrow. 3 days in scrubs this week. I will be in regular clothes tomorrow. I also think the weather is dropping because it was like 76 degrees today. But so yeah, I'll be in regular clothes tomorrow, but catch y'all in the morning. So we ended our preclinical years the same way that we started it, by reciting the clinician's oath. And then they bid us adieu, told us good luck on our clerkship rotations, whether you start Monday or you start a little later like myself. But yeah, first 2 years of medical school are officially in the books. Now, as for me, let me buckle down after being in school for 4 weeks and being slightly distracted, not being able to study at least 8 hours a day. I'll be increasing my studying to 10 hours a day and some days 12 hours because, as I told y'all, I am not pushing step 1 anymore. Like, let's do it. A few short weeks, y'all gonna see a video of me saying like, yo, I took that test and I feel good about it. So yeah, until next time, peace out.